Right, this is my first recording, my first video ever. Let's see how this goes. So, City Skylines. This is a city that I've named Busan, after the map. And this is what I've built so far, using 81 tile unlocker. I've got quite a few mods running, maybe 900, 950. And I've got unlimited demand running, and I've got unlimited cache, which is what I normally do. I just don't want anything to hinder the building process. So when I build cities, I'm mainly going for an organic appearance. I want to make a city that looks realistic and looks partially chaotic, sort of complicated and quite detailed. And to do this, I tend to use small buildings. The smaller the building, the more detail you can create, of course, and the larger the city actually appears as it's scaled down for the smaller buildings. So, for instance, a suburban area down here. Okay, if I go into zones, you'll see these zone tiles are too deep. I don't usually go much more than that, although sometimes I put a couple of variations in. You know, I'll put these things in, anything that fits. I mix it up, but generally I'll do 2x2 or 1x2 buildings, and I tailor the theme accordingly. So if I go into theme manager, I'll show you just quickly. Here we go, themes. I've also got it, the residential is limited to growth 1 at the moment. That keeps it more manageable. So theme manager, if I go into my low density residential, you can see all the ones I've highlighted here are the ones that I think will fit the city type. Right, so I'll just choose the sizes that I want. Same for all the other classifications. Okay, so I've created this theme called thin houses. Okay, so let's go into a little bit of building. So X marks the spot. I can delete that. I'm using what's it called? Network Expansions Project, which gives you these one cell wide suburban roads, which I love. Before that came out, I struggled with these cities because I couldn't get the density I wanted, thus I couldn't get the realism I wanted. So now these thin roads are available, and they've been available a while now. All my cities were built using these roads. So generally my style is a mixture of curves and grids. If you look at most cities, well, that means particularly Asian cities, let's say, they have large trunk roads which are fairly curved, and then inside there are sort of grids, and I put my grids at angles, and sometimes I put curves in, so I mix it all up just to give some variation. So we'll start building. So I want to expand into this area here. I tend to put rail first because roads usually go above rail. So really rail dictates partly what the road layout is going to be. So let's say do that. And then in here, depends what I want to put in there. Let's say do that. So, excuse me, close to these big avenues, I will often allow 3 zone tiles, sometimes 4, because obviously these roads have larger buildings next to them. And then here I'll allow just 2 each side with a tiny gap down the middle. And that tiny gap makes sure that the zones don't conflict with each other. That a building you build on this side doesn't turn into a 2x4. This way you're guaranteed to get 2x2, 2x1 building sizes and a few variations. So let me just only focus on this tiny little area here to show you what I do. So I get low density commercial, and I use up these 1x4 spaces because I have a specific building in mind to fit in that space. Then what I'll do for this type of city is I'll place a few random high density 1x2 zones, like let's say this. Then they will grow into these types of buildings, which I think look fine. Then I'll fill in the rest. In fact, I could do it that way. Fill in the rest, like that. And sometimes they don't work properly. That's like that. You can see I'm not used to making videos. Right. Now, using the eyedropper tool, and I'm presuming a lot of you guys know what that is, you can go to a building you've already placed, press T, and take it. So I want it there, so I'm going to put that there. And since my whole district is limited to level 1 growth, these won't grow. These won't change into buildings I don't want. You see what's happened here? Fatal mistake. Because I haven't covered this part with the district, it spawned all these buildings that I don't want. So we go into district, and there you go. We're on the edge of the district. So let's make sure that's covered. And then we'll get rid of these buildings that we don't particularly want. Although sometimes a few of these don't look too bad, but it's not quite what I'm after. Okay, and also in this type of city, let's add a little bit of high density apartment living. So we'll get one of these, which I like. We'll go down here. We'll put it in there. Ooh, that's not quite covered. And they will have to be brought up to level 2 manually, because they'll disappear, because they're a level 2 building, and in a level 1 district they will disappear. So we'll just let that grow a little bit. Get rid of that. And probably some high density along here as well. You don't really want low density housing next to a great big recycling